there is a strong need for product diversification to MMF. India is the fifth largest producer of technical textiles in the whole world, with a market size of nearly $22 billion, which we hope to build up to $300 billion when we turn 100 by 2047. After having established itself in traditional garments, the Indian apparel industry has now moved on to diversifying itself into newer areas of MMF garments. This shift is supported by Government of India in the form of many new trade and investment promotion schemes of Production-Linked Incentive Scheme and Integrated Textile Park via PM Mitra scheme is looking forward to enhancing foreign direct investments to further strengthen its production capacity while maintaining international quality standards. This product diversification would also need shifting into newer export markets. India's garment exports currently is concentrated to EU and USA, with top 10 countries contributing to 74% of India's total exports. To diversify into new markets, Indian government has recently signed and renegotiated trade agreements including CEPA with Japan, Korea and UAE, ECTA with Australia, with upcoming ones with UK and EU. This would bring enhanced opportunity for Indian garment manufacturers to get into new export destinations, but also will be instrumental in bringing forth great investment opportunities for global garment brands to manufacture their products for huge domestic market of India and also export to the world. Indian textile and garment sector has also enhanced its technology intervention through blockchain, robotics, AI inclusion in its manufacturing and hence can commit least lead times with higher scale of production. Time has come to encourage startups from Gen X. The new regulatory regime witnessed through European Green Deal is focused to make Europe a net zero emitter of greenhouse gases and become climate neutral by 2050. Indian garment industry is gearing up to the cause of sustainability across all fronts, including environment, social and governance. AEPC as an export promotion council appreciates the growing consumer awareness on sustainability and has taken various steps to further strengthen and ensure wider adoption of these measures by garment industry at large. We had launched Apparel Industry Sustainability Action (AISA), witnessing huge participation from the garment fraternity across all the clusters. As per the UN Charter for Gender Equality, women are encouraged to participate in the apparel industry and set up their own units. Indian apparel sector is a source of strength and dignity for 78,54,000 women. 70% of the workforce are women. 70 lakh more to be employed in next 5 years, empowering 1 crore 50 lakh women. It's time for Indian garment industry to witness an intelligent diversification in terms of new products, including workwear, uniforms, etc., with a commitment to ensure safety, durability and functionality. This emerging product category has carved a special platform in the export scenario of India. AEPC aims at providing exclusive support to the apparel industry of India for enhancing their global reach through rigorous market intelligence, global compliance, trade facilitation and policy advocacy. Through its in-depth and focused research and analytics, AEPC promotes product innovation to keep the Indian garment industry in sync with the shifting global trends. Its policy advocacy ranges from participating in foreign trade policy formulations of Government of India to representing industry interests in ongoing global trade negotiations through various trade agreements. AEPC 23rd Export Excellence Awards are the Indian apparel industry's most prestigious awards, paying tribute to the success and innovative approaches of Indian apparel export companies. extending across diverse product categories and including both experienced and startup representation. The awards are a celebration of the contributions exporters have made to the industry and in turn the national economy. Together we proceed on this path to achieve the target of $40 billion exports by 2030 for Indian textile and apparel. The importance of apparel and textile industry in India is witnessed by the fact that the industry contributes approximately 2.3% to the country's GDP, 13% to industrial production and 12% to exports. India has a 4% share of the global trade in textiles and apparel. Success is not achieved in a day. A lot of hard work goes in making a mark in the competitive world of apparel industry. But there is lots more to achieve. From 16 to 17 billion Indian apparel industry targets the reach to $40 billion by 2030. The conviction comes from the fact because the industry is blessed with largest raw material availability of cotton, jute, silk and wool in the world, supported by world's second largest spinning and weaving capacity, giving the industry an opportunity for a 95% domestic value addition. India offers to the world a complete value chain solution from farm to fashion, giving us a competitive edge by shortened lead times to reach our buyers. India's top 20 products contributes to 63% of total apparel exports, and hence there is a strong need for product diversification to MMF. India is the fifth largest producer of technical textiles in the whole world, with a market size of nearly $22 billion, which we hope to build up to $300 billion when we turn 100 by 2047. After having established itself in traditional garments, the Indian apparel industry has now moved on to diversifying itself into newer areas of MMF garments. This shift is supported by Government of India in the form of many new trade and investment promotion schemes of Production-Linked Incentive Scheme and Integrated Textile Park via PM Mitra scheme is looking forward to enhancing foreign direct investments to further strengthen its production capacity while maintaining international quality standards. This product diversification would also need shifting into newer export markets. India's garment exports currently is concentrated to EU and USA, with top 10 countries contributing to 74% of India's total exports. To diversify into new markets,
the questions and the points put forward by the focus group, it'll take another 10 minutes, and by then we will start the power group discussion. So please feel free to have a cup of coffee, a cup of tea, a glass of water, whatever you wish to. We'll take another 10 minutes to collate the questions to put up to the power group. Thank you.
The importance of apparel and textile industry in India is witnessed by the fact that the industry contributes approximately 2.3% to the country's GDP, 13% to industrial production and 12% to exports. India has a 4% share of the global trade in textiles and apparel. Success is not achieved in a day. A lot of hard work goes in making a mark in the competitive world of apparel industry. But there is lots more to achieve. From 16 to 17 billion Indian apparel industry targets the reach to $40 billion by 2030. The conviction comes from the fact because the industry is blessed with largest raw material availability of cotton, jute, silk and wool in the world, supported by world's second largest spinning and weaving capacity, giving the industry an opportunity for a 95% domestic value addition. India offers to the world a complete value chain solution from farm to fashion, giving us a competitive edge by shortened lead times to reach our buyers. India's top 20 products contributes to 63% of total apparel exports, and hence there is a strong need for product diversification to MMF. India is the fifth largest producer of technical textiles in the whole world, with a market size of nearly 22 billion US dollars, which we hope to build up to 300 billion US dollars when we turn 100 by 2047. After having established itself in traditional garments, the Indian apparel industry has now moved on to diversifying itself into newer areas of MMF garments. This shift is supported by Government of India in the form of many new trade and investment promotion schemes of Production-Linked Incentive Scheme and Integrated Textile Park via PM Mitra scheme is looking forward to enhancing foreign direct investments to further strengthen its production capacity while maintaining international quality standards. This product diversification would also need shifting into newer export markets. India's garment exports currently is concentrated to EU and USA, with top 10 countries contributing to 74% of India's total exports. To diversify into new markets, Indian government has recently signed and renegotiated trade agreements including CEPA with Japan, Korea and UAE, ECTA with Australia, with upcoming ones with UK and EU. This would bring enhanced opportunity for Indian garment manufacturers to get into new export destinations, but also will be instrumental in bringing forth great investment opportunities for global garment brands to manufacture their products for huge domestic market of India and also export to the world. Indian textile and garment sector has also enhanced its technology intervention through blockchain, robotics, AI inclusion in its manufacturing, and hence can commit least lead times with higher scale of production. Time has come to encourage startups from Gen X. The new regulatory regime witnessed through European Green Deal is focused to make Europe a net zero emitter of greenhouse gases and become climate neutral by 2050. Indian garment industry is gearing up to the cause of sustainability across all fronts, including environment, social and governance. AEPC as an export promotion council appreciates the growing consumer awareness on sustainability and has taken various steps to further strengthen and ensure wider adoption of these measures by garment industry at large. We had launched Apparel Industry Sustainability Action (AISA), witnessing huge participation from the garment fraternity across all the clusters. As per the UN Charter for Gender Equality, women are encouraged to participate in the apparel industry and set up their own units. Indian apparel sector is a source of strength and dignity for 78,54,000 women. 70% of the workforce are women. 70 lakh more to be employed in next 5 years, empowering 1 crore 50 lakh women. It's time for Indian garment industry to witness an intelligent diversification in terms of new products, including workwear, uniforms, etc., with a commitment to ensure safety, durability.
Silver sponsors, Apparel Made-ups and Home Furnishing Sector Skill Council, empowering careers, enriching industry. Silver sponsors, Modify, modern digital trade finance. The Chennai Silks, let the celebrations begin. And like I said, only a few minutes before we start the power group discussion.
The importance of apparel and textile industry in India is witnessed by the fact that the industry contributes approximately 2.3% to the country's GDP, 13% to industrial production and 12% to exports. India has a 4% share of the global trade in textiles and apparel. Success is not achieved in a day. A lot of hard work goes in making a mark in the competitive world of apparel industry. But there is lots more to achieve. From 16 to 17 billion US dollars. Indian apparel industry targets the reach to 40 billion US dollars by 2030. The conviction comes from the fact because the industry is blessed with largest raw material availability of cotton, jute, silk and wool in the world, supported by world's second largest spinning and weaving capacity, giving the industry an opportunity for a 95% domestic value addition. India offers to the world a complete value chain solution from farm to fashion, giving us a competitive edge by shortened lead times to reach our buyers. India's top 20 products contributes to 63% of total apparel exports, and hence there is a strong need for product diversification to MMF. India is the 5th largest producer of technical textiles in the whole world, with a market size of nearly 22 billion US dollars, which we hope to build up to 300 billion US dollars when we turn 100 by 2047. After having established itself in traditional garments, the Indian apparel industry has now moved on to diversifying itself into newer areas of MMF garments. This shift is supported by Government of India in the form of many new trade and investment promotion schemes of Production-Linked Incentive Scheme and Integrated Textile Park via PM Mitra scheme is looking forward to enhancing foreign direct investments to further strengthen its production capacity while maintaining international quality standards. This product diversification would also need shifting into newer export markets. India's garment exports currently is concentrated to EU and USA, with top 10 countries contributing to 74% of India's total exports. To diversify into new markets, Indian government has recently signed and renegotiated trade agreements including CEPA with Japan, Korea and UAE, ECTA with Australia, with upcoming ones with UK and EU. This would bring enhanced opportunity for Indian garment manufacturers to get into new export destinations, but also will be instrumental in bringing forth great investment opportunities for global garment brands to manufacture their products for huge domestic market of India and also export to the world. Indian textile and garment sector has also enhanced its technology intervention through blockchain, robotics, AI inclusion in its manufacturing, and hence can commit least lead times with higher scale of production. Time has come to encourage startups from Gen X. The new regulatory regime witnessed through European Green Deal is focused to make Europe a net zero emitter of greenhouse gases and become climate neutral by 2050. Indian garment industry is gearing up to the cause of sustainability across all fronts, including environment, social and governance. AEPC as an export promotion council appreciates the growing consumer awareness on sustainability and has taken various steps to further strengthen and ensure wider adoption of these measures by garment industry at large. We had launched Apparel Industry Sustainability Action (AISA), witnessing huge participation from the garment fraternity across all the clusters. As per the UN Charter for Gender Equality, women are encouraged to participate in the apparel industry
Now we start the power group discussion. I would request you to please take your seats. We also have some designated seats for the award winners, and I would request all the award winners to please come and sit on their designated seats. Exactly 5 minutes is what we've got. Award winners, kindly occupy your designated seats. And the rest of us, the rest of the guests, please take your seats on the tables. Thank you. It is with great pleasure that we gather here today to express our deepest gratitude and appreciation to individuals who have significantly contributed to the success of the Indian apparel export sector. Flowers, a very ominous sign of good times to come. We now start with the AEPC Power Group discussion. The Power Group discussion intends to bring together decision and policy makers, focused business representatives, and important stakeholders who are engaged in the promise of designing and acting the future of the Indian apparel export industry. The underlying objective is to have the Power Group peers discuss the present and encourage action to lead towards a better future. I now invite Mr. Gautam Nair, the Chairman Export Promotion AEPC, to get the ball rolling. Mr. Nair, please.
Good afternoon, everybody. Mr. Rohit Kansalji, our honored Additional Secretary, Ministry of Textiles, our very own Naren Goenka, Chairman AEPC, Dr. Shaktivel, Dr. Deepak Seth, Dr. Ajay Sahai, and Mr. Nitin Prasad. Definitely to include today's award recipients, exporters from all over, and especially the family members of the award recipients. On behalf of the Apparel Export Promotion Council, it is my very great pleasure, my very great privilege to welcome you all today for the AEPC CNBC Power Group discussion. AEPC has played and continues to play a critical role in strengthening India in achieving its apparel manufacturing and export goals and making India a leading sourcing hub for apparel exports. Working with the government, specifically with the Ministry of Textiles, we have set an ambitious goal of $40 billion by 2030, 40 by 30 as we call it. And with greater focus of and clarity for the national and industry ambitions, combined with the groundbreaking reforms, some of which government has done, some of which the ministry has got on paper, we are all working together to gear up for this ambitious target. And it is in this context of working together that even as we respond to the challenges of the past, a range of somewhat complex, new, ever-changing challenges come up and need to be addressed. It is with this intent that we conducted the recent panel, the focus group discussions over 5 topics which so many of you in the hall have participated. I would like to take this opportunity on behalf of AEPC, on behalf of all of us, to specially thank the participants who took out time from their busy schedules, who brainstormed, who discussed. Some of them were very animated discussions which were going on, and who shared their insights as well as the challenges during the focus group discussion. As an outcome of these discussions, we have synthesized it, and we're going to hand it over to the moderator with a set of questions that are going to be addressed to the power group comprised of leading stakeholders in our industry. Really working on these matters is going to involve a little more than just power group discussions. We need to research and document each area. We need to develop sustainable policy proposals, B2G and G2G discussions. But we wanted to get the ball rolling today, which is what our power group discussion has done. And now this 30-minute AEPC CNBC power group discussion will bring together decision and policymakers, focused business representatives, both on the Indian and the international stage, important stakeholders who will together engage in the promise and the purpose of acting for the future of the Indian apparel industry. The underlying objective is to have these power group peers discuss the present and encourage action towards us for the future. Before I request the power group members to take the stage, I ask you all to join me in congratulating the winners of the award group, which is going to happen later in the afternoon today. You guys are the role models who will guide us towards the lofty goals which we have set. There are a few opportunities when we pause to acknowledge achievements, and today is one of them. Great job done, guys, and we look forward to your blazing the trail for all of us going forward. I now invite Paramita Chariji from CNBC to please take over and introduce the power group. Thank you.
Doing a quick audio check. Are we good to go? Okay. Good afternoon, everyone, and thank you so much for joining us. And it gives us great pleasure to be a part of this power group discussion, because we hope to address head-on some of the issues, given what Mr. Nair just said, the lofty goal which has been set by the AEPC, which is 40 by 30. What are the key enablers? What are the key roadblocks in the face of a target such as this, which is to achieve $40 billion in apparel exports by the year 2030? I'll be the moderator for this session. My name is Paramita Chatterjee, and I come to you on behalf of CNBC TV 18 and Network 18. Now, as part of this panel today, we have industry leaders, we have key policymakers who are really going to come together and collaborate and try and come up with a roadmap. I think that has already been set ahead. Many of you are trying to pursue that in terms of how to achieve some of those goals, and tackling head-on issues such as infrastructure, sustainability, which the world is focused on, and of course, a fiercely competitive market out there where India is appearing to be losing a bit of steam, if not already lost a bit of ground. So we need to catch up, we need to innovate, and how can we do that? So let me introduce you to the panelists who will be a part of the discussion today. We have with us, and I'd like to call upon the podium, Mr. Naren Goenka, Chairman, AEPC. Mr. Rohit Kansal, Additional Secretary, Ministry of Textiles, Government of India. Dr. Ajay Sahai, Director General and CEO, Federation of Indian Export Organization. Deepak Seth, Founder and Chairman, Pearl Global Industries Limited. and Nitin Prasad, Managing Director, PV8 Supply, Indian Subcontinent and GOC. And the minister is shortly due to arrive, and once she does, we'll of course take a little pause in the discussion and welcome her on board as well. But thank you so much, gentlemen, for joining us today. So let me kickstart this discussion with the goal, and which is really the topic of conversation today, 40 by 30. And kickstart the conversation with Mr. Naren Goenka. Mr. Goenka, you know, it is a very catchy phrase. It's a fantastic sort of target to set our eyes on, but it's also a difficult one to achieve, given the current landscape. So how do you propose that AEPC, along with all its partners, all the manufacturers and players that we have in this export space, achieve that target?
Thank you, Pari. Thank you. Though it is definitely a little difficult target.
We'll do a quick audio check, Mr. Goenka.
It's good. It's good done. Yeah. Thank you, Parimita. Definitely, this looks to be a little difficult target, but industry like apparel, such energetic members of the industry, I feel that this doesn't seems to be a very, very difficult target. There are few points I would like to stress upon here is, there is a big confidence from our international buyers towards India in wake of exiting China, in wake of our neighboring countries have got sort of certain instability coming up. And moreover, we have abundance of raw material. We are the biggest raw material producer after China, so we have everything possible in India. Because of the raw material availability, today demand is for shortened lead time, which nobody else can give as short as we can give from India, because we do not have to import anything. In our product, 98% is Indian content.
Right.
So we are not affected with any kind of disruptions. You take of COVID or you take of any logistic disruptions, we are not affected at all in giving the best shorter lead time. Secondly, when there is little, because we have our raw material is our own, any price volatility in international market is also not affecting us as much as affecting others who have to import the raw material. Thirdly, we have the best option of utilizing the rupee weakness, or I would say the dollar strength. Because we are using our own raw material, we do not have to share the dollar strength with raw material guys importing internationally. We do not have to share with anybody, so we are on a very, very sweet spot. Lastly, we have a biggest support from the current government regime. And not only the central, but each state government is in competition to attract apparel and textile investment. Today, we lack scale in apparel and textile, but going forward with this investment schemes, investment encouragement, there is going to be a big scale coming in apparel industry. And that scale with the government incentives, with the government encouragement, I should not use the word incentive, I would like to rephrase it with government encouragement. We would be able to compete with our neighboring countries in FOB.
Right.
Lastly, the government is working so hard on working out some free trade agreements with the very, very important countries like UK, EU. We have already done with Australia, Japan, UAE. So, and then the UK would be a very big game changer for us. That could happen anytime. Then followed by EU also.
So a confluence of, you know, a lot of positive factors, both internally as well as from the global sort of tailwinds which are likely to help the export sector. But let's talk a little bit about those legacy aspects which have held us back. And you brought up the issue of scale. And Mr. Rohit Kansal, you're there with us. The issues of infrastructure and the aspects of scale, which a lot of competitors, particularly when it comes to vertical integration and really delivering on the kind of scale that the global markets expect. How does your government and how does this government propose to look at that?
Okay. Audio check. I have 2 points to make. Am I audible? Yeah. Let me begin by looking at this entire export issue from the other side of the spectrum. Currently, we are doing $40 billion of exports, some $45 billion of exports, from $16 billion of apparel, which we want to take to $100 billion and some $40 billion of apparel. But let's not look at what we are exporting. Let's look at what the global market is. The global market is around $1 trillion. And if you look at $1 trillion, even $100 billion will only be 10% of that market. So I think that is the side that we should look at. And when you look at it from this aspect, it seems eminently achievable. But that, of course, industry will talk about more. On the infrastructure side, Mr. Naren Goenka has already pointed out a number of policy initiatives being taken by the government. I would like to highlight only one. Many of you would have heard about the PM Mitra Park initiative. Now, the PM Mitra Park initiative is probably one of the best initiatives which has been taken in recent times. And it addresses many of the issues which have been flagged by industry. Those of size, those of scale. Each size is at least 1,000 acres. Each park is at least 1,000 acres in size. Parks are supposed to be vertically integrated. It addresses issues of land acquisition because all the land has already been acquired for. It addresses issues of clearances because all the clearances have already been provided for. It addresses issues of state support because the state is heading the SPV which runs the park. We are looking at almost $10 billion of investment in the parks, and around $500 million of support is already being given either as infrastructure support or as development support to the companies which set up units in the park. It also addresses issues of FDI because foreign direct investment is again one of the potentialities that we are looking at in the park. So whether you look at it from the investment side, whether you look at it from what Mr. Goenka calls the encouragement side, or whether you look at it from the regulatory side, I think this is an all-in-one activity which seeks to address many of the issues of scale which have often been raised.
Right. Thank you, Mr. Kansal. And that's clearly a multi-pronged strategy and levers that we are hoping to sort of pull in order to deliver those kind of results. Let me now bring in Dr. Deepak Seth, and as somebody who has been really growing and you've become a global leader. Pearl is a global leader in really managing and enabling those supply chain solutions and delivering at scale to many of your clients. You've just heard from two speakers and given the targets that have been set out. Sir, what according to you is still lacking? For instance, many suggest that a hub and spoke model when it comes to attracting international brands perhaps would be a key enabler. What according to you are some of the gaps that need to be addressed?
See,
We'll just do a quick audio check.
Hello.
Yeah, it's good.
So I'll touch on 2 points. We are a global supply chain company, and we've gone and invested in Bangladesh, Indonesia, Vietnam, Sri Lanka, a lot of countries. And the way we started and how it got facilitated was that it was a plug-and-play thing. So when we went to Indonesia, we went to Semarang, there was an industrial park with ready-made buildings. So one had to just go and invest in machines. And when you go to a new country, you always want to test the waters first. So you had this building, you put 500 machines, see how it works, and then because the investment is not very high, and you build it up, and once you're settled, then you buy your own land building and do the next steps. Same in Bangladesh, there are these export-oriented units, where the government has already set up the buildings, you just have to plug and play. So this kind of a thing, when it happens in a country, it encourages foreign investment. So if you see today, if you see Bangladesh, Koreans, Taiwanese, Chinese, Japanese, there's so many investors there, so many joint ventures, because the government has facilitated that plug-and-play model. Same in Indonesia, take Vietnam. Vietnam is a small country, but they're doing almost like $50 billion. Same, whatever the industrial parks that came there, all had this plug and play. So for a Korean to go there, or a Taiwanese, or even for an Indian company to go there, we could just go to the industrial parks, identify the building. If you want to put 1,000 machines, you need so much space, you need 2,000 machines, and those are available at a reasonable lease. So there is no play of land and appreciation and all that things that happen in India. Okay, we're going to invest, the land will multiply in value in a year's term, we'll be well off. But here the whole focus is on garmenting and export.
Right.
So the land building is owned by someone else. You lease it for 30 years at a concessional rate, and you put up your machines, you start, and then of course you are going. So that is one part which I feel India can also, and you have to attract foreign companies. The Koreans, Taiwanese, Chinese, Cambodians, everyone is willing to come here because it's India decade. Today, India is the country of flavor worldwide. So this is one opportunity. The other thing is that, when you see Indian exports is mainly cotton garments because, for the backward integration, you have the cotton and everything. But when you see globally the demand, it's for cotton is 3 months, 4 months, spring, summer season. You take the autumn, winter, the other seasons, the sweaters, the jackets, the man-made fiber, the activewear, where we don't have a base. So we need these foreign people to come and start those product categories. If you want to get to 15 billion, to 30, 50, 100, and it can happen very quickly. Because you bring that plug and play model, get the best of class in the countries of Korean, Taiwanese, those, and tell them, here is the infrastructure ready for you. Bring your sweater factories, bring your outerwear factory, bring your, and then these new product categories will be again going to 15, like woven garments, we have 15 billion. Outerwear could become 20 billion, and your sweaters could be 30 billion. So you will have a multitude of product categories. So these two focus, I think, are the way to go to the next level. We have a fantastic government. We have a fantastic bureaucracy who's supporting today. Never ever before, secretaries and directors were calling the industry and they come and set up. And so they're encouraging and, facilitating. Now we just have to see how to attract this foreign investment and how to add to the new product categories.
Indeed, and I think those are two very valid points. And Mr. Kansal, I'll come to you, but first let me bring in Dr. Ajay Sahai, because I think the first point that Dr. Seth brought up, in terms of this whole plug and play model, it's perhaps a requirement not just for apparel exports, but for exports across the board, and especially for FDI to come in. How do you sort of respond in terms of what's sort of the impediment there and how things can actually change? What could be the key enablers?
In fact, if you look into the new scheme which will be replacing the SCZ scheme, we are not only for the SCZ but even for the industrial town, we are looking into the same kind of setup where all the imports which will take place, they will be duty free. Depending on whether you are using the input for the domestic supply or export, you will be taxed. So whatever has been extended right now under a mover scheme, that government is intending to supply to the entire industry. That is something which Bangladesh has provided long back. I also agree with the representatives of the government that I think the export target which we are right now flagging is a very modest one. Let me base it on a two ground. The country is take the overall exports of $770 billion to $2 trillion, which requires CAGR of around 12.6. The apparel industry, which is the torchbearer, they are talking about around 12%. Secondly, the untapped potential of apparel sector alone is estimated to around 245 billion. 45 billion plus in the US, 20 billion in Germany, 11 billion in France, UK and other countries. Even in Japan, the untapped potential is around $8 billion. If we are aligning our export with the import demand, and there I think the issue of Mr. Seth comes that we have to move toward the man-made segment also.
Right.
We will be able to achieve it. But at the same time, I don't go along with the industry without pushing too much emphasis on the free trade agreement. Tariff is one of the factors. Tariff is not the only factor. Look into Indo-Japan CEPA. We were at 11th position when we signed the CEPA. Even today, we are in double digit.
Right.
China is having 9% duty. Still, they are commanding more than 50% of the market. Our market share is not 1%. Of course, now we are increasing our share. So I think we have to look into the entire ecosystem of to happen. And that's why the kind of ecosystem which the government is providing, I feel that the target is quite modest one. On the plug and play facility, I feel that even in the PLI scheme, if the large investments will flow, automatically ancillaries will develop into the country. We have seen that happening in the automobile sector. Suzuki came and the entire MSME developed as ancillary initially in Gurgaon and then in Manesar.
Right.
Probably we are looking into the same system under the PLI for man-made and technical textile segment.
Okay, so the pie is big enough. 40 billion is a modest target given the pace of growth and how large the market is. And India is just sort of, it's the tip of the iceberg as far as India is concerned. But let me turn now to Nitin Prasad. And Nitin, share with us your investments in India. What's the scale of your investments? And it's still relatively quite small looking at the scale of your operations. Would I be correct in saying that? And you've heard some of the issues being mentioned by Dr. Seth, but as a foreign company, and the brands most associated with you are Tommy Hilfiger, Calvin Klein, to name a few, what's holding you back? And what would you really like in terms of concrete steps?
Thank you. I think the simple answer is everything that Deepak talked about, right? But that's what we would like. But see, what we do as brands, and I'm not talking only we, right? All international brands, you first look at a very macro level at a country, right? Saying political stability of the country, how is the currency doing, how's the labor situation, right? You look at all that. Now that's all in favor in India, right? Deepak talked about India is the flavor, right? So we are absolutely looking at India as a country. Then you come a level below, right? And you actually start looking at supply chain. And that's where the discussion around scale comes, right? And I think I called this out earlier in some of the session. When we talk about 30 or 40 by 30, we are talking about $25 billion additional. You are actually talking about 1,200 more factories, 1,200, right? That's what you need. Now, we have all the big exporters here in this room. The next 7 years, will they be investing in 1,200 factories? I shouldn't answer on their behalf, but I think it will be 200, right? And that will be a good number, by the way. So you still are short of almost 1,000 factories. And that's where you have to get some of these companies and the Koreans and Taiwanese to come and invest and set up shops here. Because for brands, nothing is holding us. It's a scale, right? We need scale. There's enough and more business around the globe that you want to bring to India. Most supply chains have tried many other parts of the world apart from China. Some have worked, some have not worked. Vietnam is already kind of saturated.
Correct, yeah.
Bangladesh, we are already full. We would love to bring more and more here. And we are all working as an industry, we are working together saying how do we really create that environment where I have a traceable supply chain. I think that's one basic thing that we are struggling at this moment. All brands, it's regulatory now that we need to really know where's the cotton coming from. India does not have a bale ID, right? So a simple thing, we don't have a bale ID today, so I cannot trace the cotton. So those are the things, and I know we have already shared feedback. The industry, the government has been working on it. There's a lot of support. And we are very, very positive. Business will not come in trickles. It will just come boom.
In a flood. I mean,
Yeah.
I'm sure, Mr. Kansal, that's what we are hoping for, that it comes in a flood. Because I think before I go into the whole aspect of man-made fibers, I mean, a couple of important points. One, taken from Dr. Seth, they're saying that, listen, we need to invest more in man-made fibers. And in fact, we have a couple of questions as well related to that if, man-made fibers, can there be some additional sort of imperatives or policy changes there, number one. And number two, to this whole aspect of sustainability and supply chain traceability. All the big brands want that.
So let me begin by speaking a bit about what Mr. Deepak and Nitin said. I couldn't agree with you more when you say that we need scale, we need plug and play. But, as I said in my earlier comments, this is precisely what PM Mitra seeks to do. It doesn't leave you sort of at somebody's mercy waiting for land. And there is a plug and play arrangement where you can actually go and set up your shop immediately. Also, when you consider the incentives being given by the respective state governments in tandem with which the government of India does, it works out to be a very attractive package. So I think many of the issues regarding scale, regarding plug and play, regarding delays at the sub-federal level, at the state level, are already being addressed. And yes, Nitin, I absolutely agree with you when you say that we tick all the boxes: political stability, favorable government, host of incentives, stable labor, and we hope to address the scale issue, when we look at PM Mitra parks. On man-made fiber, I think most of you are aware that India is a cotton-dominated country. The world is moving or has moved towards man-made fiber. So we have a PLI policy. We have a couple of applications. Investments have started there. We are aware of some of the requests that are being made. But at this point of time, all I can say is that we have heard all the requests carefully, and we are looking at the best possible ways to address them.
Okay, so clearly the government is closely tracking these issues, and as we said, and Mr. Prasad, you mentioned that, this is a government which is extremely responsive. Mr. Goenka, let me come back to you. And again, okay, one is the investments we want within India, right? The point being that we need 1,200 more factories. The other is the markets that we are addressing, or rather the apparel exporters are addressing, which always traditionally has been very concentrated in two markets, which is the US and the EU, and you want that footprint to expand. Now, what are those, again, steps which are being taken, whether it's on the policy front, and what else needs to be done in order to expand those markets where Indian products can have a wider reach?
So definitely this is one of the most important point, that market diversification. We are working on this. We have market like Japan and Australia, which are duty-free. So we have to attack on this, and we have already started doing in a big way. We have each fair, there are 2 fairs in Japan and 2 in Australia. In each fair, we have a contingent of 300 exporters, 300 exhibitors going every 6 months. And there has been a very, very good encouragement from all buyers to welcome Indian exhibitors. Secondly, we have to look at South of American countries. South American countries, some of them have their own problems, but those we have to deal with them. But otherwise, there is a big market, and many of our members have started working very seriously in those markets also. So it is just the market diversification we have to do. Along with it, we'll have to do the product diversification. That is the bigger challenge we have. Because currently India is known for spring product, which is not helping us growing as fast as we want to. But now we have to look at making product for fall and winter, which, as Additional Secretary Sir said, we have a PLI scheme which is mainly for MMF product. So there are 63 applicants. I want everyone to know there were 63 applicants, and there are good, out of 63, there were garmenters were 10 or 12, but there are another 50 who are manufacturing the MMF fabric, which could be used for the winter months. So if we would have their production ready in sometime in next year. Once that is ready, we will be starting the good product diversification in MMF in winter months. So that will give us a big boost for increasing our exports also.
Okay, so to come back to you, Dr. Seth, you brought up that point about MMF, and that's clearly a very important industry demand, that more needs to be done in order for India to move out of the cotton-only tag, or rather the summer tag, and catering to that market. The other being this whole issue of sustainability. It's becoming huge. I mean, ESG and the supply chain tracking aspect. Now, how important is it, and how ready is really India in terms of investments? Because when we talk about sustainability, it also means investing in technology and really coming up with that kind of cutting edge, environmentally sensitive production lines. How ready are we? Are we on the right track?
I think the international focus on ESG is the first step today, is the most important step. And the circular economy, as they say. And a lot of work is going on this globally, and India, I think, is fully aware of it. And I think a lot of companies which are leading are already into it. this carbon zero, they're talking of, the general thing is about the solar panels and the zero discharge, ETP and all that. But you have to do much more in terms of the fabric and the garments, recyclability of the garments. So where you pick up the garments left over, the wastage, even from the retail shops, even from the consumer, and then reprocess them and to make into different products. We already invested that in a UK company, which is actually picking up clothing from the retailers as well, from factories, shredding it completely and making, decorative items for the house. And it's working beautifully. So I think it's also going to be happening in India. And that's the way to go. We have no option because the new generation, the Generation Z, they don't want to deal with garments which are not recyclable. So I think we have to do it, and it's going to happen because the customers are going to make us happen. We have no option.
Indeed. And Dr. Sahai, let me come to you here and get your response, because it's not just, again, with the apparel exporters, is it? I mean, it's for manufacturing across the board. India, unfortunately, has a legacy of these small, disorganized players which are labor-intensive and perhaps not environmentally friendly, and a lot of investment is required. How do we we can't overnight change, right? Yet we need these new investments.
In fact, I totally believe that these are the non-trade issues which are going to determine the course of the global trade in next 10 years or so. And of course, we can look into representing at the bilateral level or talking about the retaliatory tariff. But at the same time, we have to engage with the industry. We have to sensitize the industry. We have to handhold the industry and provide support to the industry, because we should see the writing on the walls, and probably we have to be ready for that. I was just going through the net and I saw that day before yesterday, Shahi Exports have released their sustainability report for financial year 2022-23, where they are talking about that the entire production of electricity will come from the non-renewable sources by 2026. So there are companies who are moving forward on that, and as an industry organization, I think we have to chip in with the industry and try to handhold the industry to go for this. Because even if you are looking into the apparel sector, their carbon emission is as high as around 10% of the total emission. When we are talking about the recycled product, they are just doing 1% of the recycled product. So we have huge opportunity there. And I think any business will survive, even if they adhere to the ESG modules in times to come.
Right. So, Nitin Prasad, I mean, ultimately for a private and a global conglomerate such as yours, it all comes down to return on investment, right? When you want to invest in a country like India, great enablers, you've got a stable policy, and so on and so forth. But you also need to see those kind of returns on your investment. Now, you mentioned some critical points. Given the fact that there is a lot of opportunity, this is a government which is closely listening, you have a PLI scheme in MMF, this whole aspect of, investing further, for instance, into MMF fabrics, whether it's athleisure and so on and so forth, new categories, is a company such as yours willing to do that now that countries such as Bangladesh and Vietnam are looking somewhat saturated?
So what we typically do, or any brand again for that matter, right? We don't go and directly invest ourselves, right? But we go to our partners like Harish ji, we go to our partners in that country and do investments, and we pledge business, right? Saying, go ahead and invest on MMF, and then we pledge these many $1 million of business, right, to support that. And we are seeing already great trends on that, right? There are partners in the room here who have done investment. We have grown, I would say, almost 7-folds in terms of our sourcing in India in last 5 years, right? And it will only become bigger from here. So there are right things under discussion right now, like FTA is a big one, right? We are waiting for the UK FTA announcement, and then EU hopefully someday. That will open a lot of doors as well. But I think everything is in right direction already, and we are willing to make that investment in bringing in more business here.
Okay, so an FTA, the UK FTA, I think the market is really waiting for that. Mr. Kansal, would you care to comment? Okay, no, not at this juncture. I'm putting you in a spot.
I can make a comment on sustainability.
Okay, yes. Okay, sir. Fair enough. I don't want to put you in a spot.
But what I want to say on sustainability is, I think all of us in the room realize that sustainability is what all of us call a sine qua non. It's now almost a hygiene factor. Can't do about it. But I also don't think that India has to be too diffident about it. We have traditionally been an extremely frugal economy. we have been nowhere as wasteful as some of the counterparts in the West have been. Second, on many of the aspects of sustainability, we've actually been the first of the block. Renewable energy, for instance. We started first, we started well, we have the largest size, we have the largest scope. And of course, somebody mentioned Shahi here. So some of the larger units are already doing very well on sustainability. They have their own sustainability setup. And I think organizations like Mr. Goenka's are doing a lot on sustainability by taking the message forward. And I'm sure that our industry realizes that sustainability is the way forward to go. So I'm not unduly worried on that count as it.
Okay, that's fantastic. And if the government says so, then we know that at least there will be all the support required for all of you to make those investments in the right direction when it comes to sustainability. Now let's talk about talent. And really, Dr. Seth, let me come in here because at the group level, you have been investing a lot in creating these institutions which can really come up with the next line of talent to cater to the apparel industry. But having said that, there are still a lot of gaps again when it comes to the link between academia and industry. Again, how would you address the talent aspect? Because one of our key enablers, for instance, for the IT services success has been the way our talent is available, right? How can we move apparel in the same direction?
Well, it's a very interesting question because of fashion almost like 30 years ago.
Correct.
And when I got into exports, we saw that the whole focus was on the domestic market. NIFT was all designers coming up from the domestic, and there was a big gap for the export industry. So my mandate to my CEO in the Pearl Academy was that I want to create talent only for the export industry, not the domestic. So it was a totally different shift, and then they tied up with the best universities in the world. And Nottingham Trent was there, the London Fashion School, and so on in Germany, different fashion institutes. So that is something that, and I feel so proud sometimes when I go to some big customers across the world and big supply chains. The head of the operations is the Pearl Academy graduate, So you feel so good about it, and and he says, "Sir, I remember you gave me my convocation degree." So those are the things that we've done in the past, but I think now we are well set. I think there's enough talent available. And, the companies that are doing well have, you can bring, the best of technology through, even virtual. Today you can be, online with the best of the institutes in the world and have those classes. So one has to encourage, your HR and training department has to be constantly hire fresh people and train them on the ground, and then they can go into this virtual training of building up the skills that are required. So I don't think that the talent is an issue today for us.
That's fantastic, because I think India is never in short of talent. I mean, we have enough people, we have a lot of skilled chaps out there, but Mr. Kansal, I think one of the questions that we have from the audience is still they want to know how can educational institutions move from being independent silos? Maybe a Pearl Academy has been able to, bridge that. But there are so many institutions. I mean, is there a sort of a common body required which sort of interfaces between the two?
Well, one of the hats that I wear in addition to my role is I'm also the Director General of NIFT. So in that sense, Mr. Seth and me are in a sense, what should I say? Well, I won't say competitors. We are part of the same educational ecosystem. But on the talent side, at least, and one of the previous hats that I wore was I was also the Principal Secretary to Education Department, in one of my previous roles. And when I compare that with what is happening in the fashion industry, in the textile industry, I see a far more interface between industry, between academia, between policy making than happens in other educational institutions. So I think that is something for which this entire textile and fashion ecosystem is to be commended. Students in NIFT, for example, you spoke about some of the top business school, fashion schools. NIFT students regularly go to FIT for a semester. Students come there, and I'm sure Pearl is interacting and engaging with some of the best fashion schools also. So in terms of interaction with institutions, with designers, with the overall textile ecosystem, I think it's far more than it is in other sectors. On the apparel side, I think you have an excellent skill development program with AETD. On the Samarth side, we have a lot of training happening at functional levels. So I think we have moved the needle quite forward insofar as talent is concerned. And I do tend to agree with Mr. Seth that on talent, we are getting there.
Mr. Goenka, you want to have a quick word before we
Yeah.
start wrapping?
To complement Mr. Deepak Seth's comment on the product development and talents, whenever we visit big international brands, we find that either the top designer or the top sourcing guys are Indian, studied in the NIFT or the Pearl. And this afternoon, mainly NIFT.
Ouch. This is healthy competition.
So we have been seeing that very often currently. I give you my personal example. We have a 20 years, since last 2001, we have an international brand started from India. That brand starts retailing at $300 to $800. And you will be surprised, 80% designers are sitting in my office in Bangalore. That has been sold in all top stores. And 80% designing is done with the Indian designer, either sitting in Bangalore or in New York offices. So we can be rest assured, at least design side, production handling side, all our neighboring countries have got Indian talent handling the neighboring factories. So we can be rest assured, we have to have a little more organized way of training them, but we have enough talent and some of the institute can do the rest of the work which is still lagging behind.
Okay. Just a quick final word from each one of you. I think before we sort of open up Q&A and get really the tough questions coming in for the panel. Nitin Prasad, I think you made some great points. One key sort of maybe policy change or industry initiative you'd like to see in the next 6 years, that is going up to 2030, to enable us to achieve that target?
So FTAs and PM Mitra to become very, very successful.
Okay, FTAs and PM Mitra, right. I'm sure Mr. Kansal's making a mental note. Yes, Dr. Seth.
He's stolen my thunder, I wanted to say.
I think the fact that we have in the right environment, in terms of the, like I said, flavor of the industry, I think the industry can make a white paper where we have some, small issues which need to be addressed. And those are pretty important issues. I don't want to raise them at this level, but I can tell you labor law issues are there, which are quite important. There's something to do with the approvals on the land and building and all that. So these things are becoming a kind of a obstacle in the growth path. So if you see, I've been hearing now almost for 10 years that India's export is $12–15 billion and we want to get to 30 and 40. But unfortunately, even today we are at 15 billion after 10 years. So there is something that we are doing wrong. So my thing is that, the captains of the industry should sit down seriously, make a white paper for the government. Okay, these are the issues which are an obstacle, and resolve those and things can move very quickly. I'll give you one small example, overtime. It's a very small thing, but it's a very important time. Companies like PVH, they insist that you can only work 48 hours a week and you can do maximum 2 hours of overtime, because the state government law is like that. India government, 60 hours a week is the maximum. But what happens is, are the seasonal business. If you go to Vietnam, you go to Bangladesh, you go to China, they do even 2 to 4 hours of overtime a day to get the shipments in time, and they are fully compliant with the law. But here, if you have to put that extra hours, people then, will have to try to do this and do that and all that hanky-panky stuff, which is not required. But this is a big issue. And also there was the issue with the lady employment, cannot work after 6 in the evening. So these are small things which, will have to be taken care of if we want to have a totally, seamless growth in this business. My worry is 15 to 15 until there after 10 years. I hope and pray, and I think now with the new government thing and AEPC also doing a great job and the government doing I'm sure we'll get to 30 at least, if not 40.
Okay, great. Dr. Sahai, I think the points mentioned by Dr. Seth about, really the labor laws, they plague in the entire export space, in fact, the manufacturing space, right?
No, absolutely, because any country, when we are looking into supply chain, they are looking into a domestic law, they are looking into at some time the ILO regulations also. So if your domestic laws are not allowing something, of course, all the multinational will be extremely careful from that. I think one point which I would like to say that we need to supplement our conventional export with the huge potential which we have in e-commerce retail exports. Unfortunately, we are not exploiting the potential. Our small and medium businesses can exploit the potential of e-commerce, and I'm looking into a 10x multiplier for the apparel sector in the next 3 years in the e-commerce sector.
Okay, from small and medium enterprises. Okay, great. Mr. Goenka, you know, one of the key points mentioned, and again, if you think it's an enabler, is there was a demand and question made that why don't we have, you know, road shows like the way NASSCOM holds for the IT sector? You know, why don't we have special events? Maybe you could share with us, are there any such plans afoot?
Definitely, it is under planning. Next year, we would have a road show for complete this year we have biggest show in India in February. That I would like Mr. Kansal to elaborate on that. But we have in mind and in process biggest show in some of the US or EU country with the complete chain, where we would be like to showcase our capability in their place. This year we are calling them everybody here, and next year we would have similar show in US or Europe country. So that is what we have in mind. And to reach to our target, beside the smaller ask here and there, my ask to my members are that have confidence in this industry, in your country. We have everything for textile in our country. The next decade is India's decade for textile. So let's have a confidence and let's do something good. Keep the confidence. India is the land of entrepreneurs, and we have big numbers of entrepreneurs. We can easily do 40 by 30. I have a biggest hope, and we will do it.
Okay, 40 by 30 is going to be a reality. Mr. Kansal, final word from you, since industry is looking to you for sort of further guidance and what to expect.
Well, I look at the role of the government as somebody who lays the pitch, since cricket is the flavor of the season. I think we have a very good pitch, and it's for you to exploit the pitch, and there's no due, don't worry.
Okay, right, wonderful. Thank you so much, gentlemen, and please stay with us because now we'd like to bring in the audience. And remember, this is our open mic forum, where if any of you have any questions, please do stand up. A mic will come to you. And please ask a question. Please remember that. And if you have a question, please can we have a mic being shared? Sorry. Sir, if you'll introduce yourself.
Yeah, my name is Sudhir Sekri, and I'm the managing director of a company called Trendsetters, and I also happen to be the vice chairman of AEPC. My question, I heard Nitin Prasad say that his company's business has grown sevenfold over the last 5 years. But I also know that our business in the last 5-7 years is stagnating between $15 and $16 billion. So now what is happening? I mean, there is some mismatch here. Okay, one, buyers are saying that we are increasing our business in India. On the other hand, our business is stagnant. So I'll tell you, what I believe is happening is that the buyers are not encouraging new vendors. So what happens is, when they want to increase their business, they go to the existing vendors and they shed the smaller vendors and ask the new vendors, larger vendors, to increase their business. So what happens is, the smaller vendors are eliminated from the matrix, and the larger vendors, their business goes up. But the country's export remains the same. So this question is a very, very pertinent and very serious question which needs to be addressed. And I mean, we've been taking delegations and meeting in Australia, in Japan, and Russia. But all of them, when we meet the CEOs of the company, they say, well, they have given a mandate to their India offices to increase business from India. But when you go and meet the Indian offices, they say, no, our vendor matrix is frozen. We are not going to add more vendors. So this is
okay, I'm going to ask both Nitin Prasad and maybe Dr. Said you'd also like to take this up. Nitin, would you say, is this correct? This perception?
It is. No, it's not a perception. Reality, and it's correct, right? See, I think what he said is absolutely right. Our business has increased many folds, as I said, but it has increased with few partners, right? And you have to understand, the global brands need global vendors. That's the reality, right? Now, we would want to go deep in partnership with any vendor, and then maybe then I'm able to have a discussion saying, can you go with me and invest in Africa, right? If I don't have a meaningful business with you, I can't expect you to invest on my behalf, right? And that's where most brands are going, right? So I completely
Bigger,
understand.
better, fewer. I think that's a mantra I'm
The
taking from
fewer
another
and better.
brand.
No,
Yeah.
absolutely. That's where we go, right? Fewer, better, stronger relationships.
Okay, so that is a global trend. Dr. Seth, and given the kind of supply chain traceability that's required, it is a reality as well, but it is hurting business, as we heard.
See, the thing is that we've got to face reality. There's a consolidation going on in the world of supply chain. There are few buyers who are doing better. There's a high mortality rate, and the same thing on the supplier side. So the most efficient buyers are working with the most efficient suppliers. So that's one leg which is going to continue. We cannot stop that because it's happening in every industry, consolidation.
So in order for a smaller vendor to compete,
That's
he
what-
basically needs to improve his or her processes.
Not only that, there are new markets, there are new products. Today, you know, India alone is about $180 billion domestic market. So today, if I'm a small vendor and I cannot work with PVH, I'll see how I have to increase my business with the Indian market. Why can't I go to start working with Japan? Why can't I go to Africa? Why can't I go to Middle East? There's so many countries which are still open. If you analyze the exports of China, which is $170 billion of garments, and we had 15 billion, see their spread. It's not only America and Europe and UK and Germany. Those are the 4 markets that everyone is trying to run after. But that's not where the growth is going to happen for new players or small players. So they have to look at new markets, new product categories, and that's how the country is going to grow.
Right, yes, sir.
Gautam Nair, and I'm speaking on behalf of the focus groups we had because some questions, probably because of time left, were left unanswered. 3 questions which I'd like to raise, which have been raised by the groups. First from actually all 3 from Mr. Kansal. Can India have a policy framework of at least 5 years when we talk of important policies, preferably 10 years, but at least 5 years so we can plan accordingly? Second, can MMF fabric, we are all talking about the importance of diversifying MMF, can MMF fabric imports be liberalized without the onerous penalties for small infringements? And third, can the HSN codes for MMF, can they be expanded on the current PLI list?
On one, I think I answered it adequately. We have a fairly stable policy regime, and if anything else, policies are actually improving to take care of the feedback which we receive from. We have our ear close to the ground, and I think we hear you well and make improvements. On 3, I did mention that we have heard some of the comments and representations we've received on the PLI scheme, and we are trying to see what we can do. But since it's still in the making, I really can't say much more than what I have said. And on the third, I don't think it's with the Ministry of Textiles per se, but I certainly note what you say.
Right, anybody else? Yes. Yes, sir. You have a question?
I just have a comment why our exports are stagnating. So if I could...
Maybe you can convert that into a question.
Okay. So the question would be that we are at 15 billion. We have a potential which can go up to 40 billion. One of the reasons, I think what has become our curse has been the fact that we are present through the value chain from fiber to fashion. Consequently, what has happened is rather than having a textile policy which is driven by apparel and made up, which is the final value creation, you've got silos. The yarn exporters talk about exporting the raw material. The fabric exports talk about exporting. Today, India exports maybe thousands of crores worth of raw material to Bangladesh. If that raw material could be converted into apparel in India, automatically you're going to have a boost in exports in India. So maybe a time has come, and Kansal Saab could address that, where we have a new textile policy with garment as the engine. Today, countries like China, they don't export a kilo of cotton or a kilo of yarn for the most part. They concentrate on value addition. Because once that happens, we will see a lot of activity, even this foreign investment, what we are talking about. If today a Korean guy can take Indian yarn and give it to Bangladesh, why should he put a factory in India? So something like that would be required to change the game, so to speak.
So, Paramita, has asked you to convert your comment into a question.
So that
But I will say something which will be music to the ears of most of you. Although the caveat is that I'm not talking of policy, I'm just repeating a comment which somebody who was not from your Biradari told me. He said, sir, if you have a rupee to spend 90 paisa of it on apparel and ready-made, sir. So, but yes, I see your point, that value addition is where the money is and value addition is where everything is. But at the same time, I don't think we can take a strictly sort of exclusivistic view in the sense that kill all other exports and only promote one particular kind of exports. But I do see the value of what you are saying. The only comment I would like to make is that there are two initiatives which we have taken, which most of you are aware of. We've set up two advisory groups, one on cotton and one on MMF. And what we have tried to do is, in both these advisory groups, we've tried to bring the entire value chain together, on cotton as well as man-made fibers. The idea being to bring everybody together so that you start looking at it in a more symbiotic sort of fashion rather than in an exclusivistic kind of fashion. But yes, to reiterate, I do see the value of what you are saying.
Okay, anybody else? Questions only. I think our previous speaker was given some leeway. Yes, sir. And we'll come to all of you, but if you can just keep your questions short, and whom do you want to address it to?
Thank you, madam. Hello, everybody. My name is Rakesh Vait. I'm the Vice Chairman of the Apparel Training and Design Center. Sir, on a note of caution, I want to ask a simple question, sir. The way India is growing, the way our GDP is growing, our per capita consumption will also grow. In 4 to 5 years from now, if we are looking at a 10 to 15% of the per capita growth in consumption of cotton textile within India, do we need to worry about the surplus for exports in coming time? And is it not the time that we make our import policy and exit as far as the exports more simpler, that we encourage our entrepreneurs to freely source the fabric anywhere? I know there is advanced licensing, I'm part of the industry, all schemes are there. But do you think there is need, this is what, Chairman, for you also this question, is there a need to make these schemes so simplified that we should be doing self-assessment, and in case when you adjudicate, it takes time for the people who are misusing the policy, but time has come for government to absolutely open the gate for the performers who are the industry leaders, so that we can really take advantage of the global availability of the raw material and not
So essentially, you're saying let the raw material be available freely and no complications. Anybody wants to answer that? Dr. Sahai? Yeah, okay. Yeah,
I
sure.
would like to answer this. Definitely, we have a very simple policy so far, but we have a comment from a lot of MSME. They find it difficult to comply with the import of the raw material. So we have a continuous ask with the government that it should be done on the performance basis. Few years, like last decade, not this year, few years, last decade we had a policy where as per the previous year's performance, you were allowed to import as some percentage of the previous years, and we would still request government to come back to that policy so we do not have to comply with a lot of regulations for importing the goods. That is what Mr. Vaid was asking, and we are working with the government to make sure that we come back to those kind of simplistic policies.
So I think this is the point that, Mr. Kansal, I don't think you have to answer that. I think this is clearly something that is being worked on. Okay, we just have time for one last question. If this is not a question, you will be penalized. Okay, yes.
Hi, I'm Rajiv Sena. I represent Only Good on sustainability. So I have a question. Why can't India have its own sustainability index? When we're talking about digitization, when we're talking about the digital gateway, the UPI system where we have created a different platform. Why can't we do the same on sustainability, creating a heat map across India, creating a geo positioning for manufacturing and everything? So the question is, India having a sustainability index of its own.
Dr. Sahai, would you like to take this?
In fact, not on the sustainability, but India is talking about a green index where we are inviting expression of interest to decide what could be the parameter of the green index. And I think from the green index, we can look into further expanding into a sustainability index. So the government is looking into all these kinds of interest, and probably we are moving towards that. So as of now, government priority is that looking into the carbon emission. Government wants to start a process where they reward all those who are helping in reducing the carbon emission. They are looking into a kind of regime where we also support those who are helping in providing green emission also. So I think the moment we are ready with our green index, we can look into sustainability index also.
Okay, that is a work in progress. I'm sorry, we are, yes.
I'll just add on to what you're saying. In the Ministry of Textiles, we have what is called a sustainability group. We call it the ESG group. And some very early work is being done in that group, which incidentally I had, on some of the things that you mentioned. Maybe we can connect offline and see what ideas you have on this.
Okay, so I think we've discussed a whole bunch of issues. Clearly, these need to be delved into deeper. But first of all, let's give a huge round of applause to our panelists for their open and frank feedback and inputs. Thank you so much, gentlemen. You were all fantastic. I have learned a lot, and clearly there are a lot of challenges, a lot of opportunities, but it is, as you know, to use the word disruption that I heard from a member in the AEPC, that it is a disruptive approach that the AEPC and the apparel export industry wants to take to really achieve that kind of $30 billion, to achieve that $40 billion milestone by the year 2030. Thank you so much, gentlemen. All the very best to all of you. And of course, apologies. The minister could not make it to this part of the power group discussion. She was unfortunately held up. But of course, we had able representation from the additional secretary, Mr. Rohit Kansal. Thank you so much for your frankness, and thank you again to the panelists, and thank you for all of you being a fantastic audience and for some great observations and questions. Thank you.
Thank you very much, the esteemed power group. Please stay on the stage as I call Mr. Rohit Sekri, the Vice President of the AEPC, to be on the stage.
Change your name as
Sekri, sir. Well, we thank our esteemed panel for their sharing these powerful insights and making AEPC Power Group discussion such a huge success. AEPC would like to express gratitude to all the participants through a small token of honor on this occasion. For Mr. Rohit Kansal, the Additional Secretary, Ministry of Textiles, Government of India. Please, do the honors. back on the stage. Now, in recognition of their commitment to the enhancement of apparel export from India to the world, AEPC would like to thank and felicitate our event sponsors today. We invite the gold sponsor, ECGC, Mr. Amit Kumar, Regional Manager, NRO ECGC Limited, to please come on the stage. Tea break now as the minister is due to arrive. He may be a few minutes late, but he is due to arrive. Please move on to the Divane Khas for some tea, but be ready to jump right back into your seats the moment the minister is here. Sorry for that inconvenience, but have your tea and see you back.
The importance of apparel and textile industry in India is witnessed by the fact that the industry contributes approximately 2.3% to the country's GDP, 13% to industrial production and 12% to exports. India has a 4% share of the global trade in textiles and apparel. Success is not achieved in a day. A lot of hard work goes in making a mark in the competitive world of apparel industry. But there is lots more to achieve from 16 to 17 billion US dollars. Indian apparel industry targets the reach to 40 billion US dollars by 2030. The conviction comes from the fact because the industry is blessed with largest raw material availability of cotton, jute, silk and wool in the world, supported by world's second largest spinning and weaving capacity, giving the industry an opportunity for a 95% domestic value addition. India offers to the world a complete value chain solution from farm to fashion, giving us a competitive edge by shortened lead times to reach our buyers. India's top 20 products contributes to 63% of total apparel exports, and hence there is a strong need for product diversification to MMF. India is the 5th largest producer of technical textiles in the whole world, with a market size of nearly 22 billion US dollars, which we hope to build up to 300 billion US dollars when we turn 100 by 2047. After having established itself in traditional garments, the Indian apparel industry has now moved on to diversifying itself into newer areas of MMF garments. This shift is supported by Government of India in the form of many new trade and investment promotion schemes of Production-Linked Incentive Scheme and Integrated Textile Park via PM Mitra scheme is looking forward to enhancing foreign direct investments to further strengthen its production capacity while maintaining international quality standards. This product diversification would also need shifting into newer export markets. India's garment exports currently is concentrated to EU and USA, with top 10 countries contributing to 74% of India's total exports. To diversify into new markets, Indian government has recently signed and renegotiated trade agreements including CEPA with Japan, Korea and UAE, ECTA with Australia, with upcoming ones with UK and EU. This would bring enhanced opportunity for Indian garment manufacturers to get into new export destinations, but also will be instrumental in bringing forth great investment opportunities for global garment brands to manufacture their products for huge domestic market of India and also export to the world. Indian textile and garment sector has also enhanced its technology intervention through blockchain, robotics, AI inclusion in its manufacturing, and hence can commit least lead times with higher scale of production. Time has come to encourage startups from Gen X. The new regulatory regime witnessed through European Green Deal is focused to make Europe a net zero emitter of greenhouse gases and become climate neutral by 2050. Indian garment industry is gearing up to the cause of sustainability across all fronts, including environment, social and governance. AEPC as an export promotion council appreciates the growing consumer awareness on sustainability and has taken various steps to further strengthen and ensure wider adoption of these measures by garment industry at large. We had launched Apparel Industry Sustainability Action (AISA), witnessing huge participation from the garment fraternity across all the clusters. As per the UN Charter for Gender Equality, women are encouraged to participate in the apparel industry and set up their own units. Indian apparel sector is a source of strength and dignity for 78,54,000 women. 70% of the workforce are women. 70 lakh more to be employed in next 5 years, empowering 1 crore 50 lakh women. It's time for Indian garment industry to witness an intelligent diversification in terms of new products, including workwear, uniforms, etc., with a commitment to ensure safety, durability and functionality. This emerging product category has carved a special platform in the export scenario of India. AEPC aims at providing exclusive support to the apparel industry of India for enhancing their global reach through rigorous market intelligence, global compliance, trade facilitation and policy advocacy. Through its in-depth and focused research and analytics, AEPC promotes product innovation to keep the Indian garment industry in sync with the shifting global trends. Its policy advocacy ranges from participating in foreign trade policy formulations of Government of India to representing industry interests in ongoing global trade negotiations through various trade agreements. AEPC 23rd Export Excellence Awards are the Indian apparel industry's most prestigious awards, paying tribute to the success and innovative approaches of Indian apparel export companies, extending across diverse product categories and including both experienced and startup representation. The awards are a celebration of the contributions exporters have made to the industry and in turn the national economy. Together we proceed on this path to achieve the target of $40 billion exports by 2030 for Indian textile and apparel. The importance of apparel and textile industry in India is witnessed by the fact that the industry contributes approximately 2.3% to the country's GDP, 13% to industrial production and 12% to exports. India has a 4% share of the global trade in textiles and apparel. Success is not achieved in a day. A lot of hard work goes in making a mark in the competitive world of apparel industry. But there is lots more to achieve from 16 to 17 billion $. Indian apparel industry targets the reach to $40 billion by 2030. The conviction comes from the fact because the industry is blessed with largest raw material availability of cotton, jute, silk and wool in the world, supported by world's second largest spinning and weaving capacity, giving the industry an opportunity for a 95% domestic value addition. India offers to the world a complete value chain solution from farm to fashion, giving us a competitive edge by shortened lead times to reach our buyers. India's top 20 products contributes to 63% of total apparel exports, and hence there is a strong need for product diversification to MMF. India is the 5th largest producer of technical textiles in the whole world, with a market size of nearly $22 billion, which we hope to build up to $300 billion when we turn 100 by 2047. After having established itself in traditional garments, the Indian apparel industry has now moved on to diversifying itself into newer areas of MMF garments. This shift is supported by Government of India in the form of many new trade and investment promotion schemes of Production-Linked Incentive Scheme and Integrated Textile Park via PM Mitra scheme is looking forward to enhancing foreign direct investments to further strengthen its production capacity while maintaining international quality standards. This product diversification would also need shifting into newer export markets. India's garment exports currently is concentrated to EU and USA, with top 10 countries contributing to 74% of India's total exports. To diversify into new markets, Indian government has recently signed and renegotiated trade agreements including CEPA with Japan, Korea and UAE, ECTA with Australia, with upcoming ones with UK and EU. This would bring enhanced opportunity for Indian garment manufacturers to get into new export destinations, but also will be instrumental in bringing forth great investment opportunities for global garment brands to manufacture their products for huge domestic market of India and also export to the world. Indian textile and garment sector has also enhanced its technology intervention through blockchain, robotics, AI inclusion in its manufacturing and hence can commit least lead times with higher scale of production. Time has come to encourage startups from Gen X. The new regulatory regime witnessed through European Green Deal is focused to make Europe a net zero emitter of greenhouse gases and become climate neutral by 2050. Indian garment industry is gearing up to the cause of sustainability across all fronts, including environment, social and governance. AEPC as an export promotion council appreciates the growing consumer awareness on sustainability and has taken various steps to further strengthen and ensure wider adoption of these measures by garment industry at large. We had launched Apparel Industry Sustainability Action (AISA), witnessing huge participation from the garment fraternity across all the clusters. As per the UN Charter for Gender Equality, women are encouraged to participate in the apparel industry and set up their own units. Indian apparel sector is a source of strength and dignity for 78,54,000 women. 70% of the workforce are women. 70 lakh more to be employed in next 5 years, empowering 1 crore 50 lakh women. It's time for Indian garment industry to witness an intelligent diversification in terms of new products, including workwear, uniforms, etc., with a commitment to ensure safety, durability and functionality. This emerging product category has carved a special platform in the export scenario of India. AEPC aims at providing exclusive support to the apparel industry of India for enhancing their global reach through rigorous market intelligence, global compliance, trade facilitation and policy advocacy. Through its in-depth and focused research and analytics, AEPC promotes product innovation to keep the Indian garment industry in sync with the shifting global trends. Its policy advocacy ranges from participating in foreign trade policy formulations of Government of India to representing industry interests in ongoing global trade negotiations through various trade agreements. AEPC 23rd Export Excellence Awards are the Indian apparel industry's most prestigious awards, paying tribute to the success and innovative approaches of Indian apparel export companies, extending across diverse product categories and including both experienced and startup representation. The awards are a celebration of the contributions exporters have made to the industry and in turn the national economy. Together we proceed on this path to achieve the target of $40 billion exports by 2030 for Indian textile and apparel. The importance of apparel and textile industry in India is witnessed by the fact that the industry contributes approximately 2.3% to the country's GDP, 13% to industrial production and 12%
Affairs, Food and Public Distribution, and the leader of the Rajya Sabha has arrived. Please take your seats. We welcome you, sir, to the AEPC Excellence Awards 2021-22 and 2022-23. Ladies and gentlemen, we feel great pleasure and honor in hosting the Apparel Export Promotion Council's Export Awards in the august presence of our chief guest and guest of honor. Thank you, Honorable Minister, for gracing the occasion and joining us today. Now, before we start anything auspicious, we invoke the blessings of Lord Ganesh. I request our Chief Guest, Shri Piyush Goyal, the Honorable Union Minister of Textiles, Commerce and Industry, Consumer Affairs, Food and Public Distribution, to kindly light the lamp. May I also request the Chairman, AEPC, the Vice Chairman, AEPC, the Chairman, Export Promotion, Chairman, FNE, and the SG AEPC to please join him in lighting the lamp. Ladies and gentlemen, the Ganesh Vandana was sung by Anisha Roy. I request everybody to please rise for the national anthem.
पंजाब सिंध गुजरात मराठा द्राविड उत्कल बंगा विंध्य हिमाचल यमुना गंगा उच्चल जलधि तरंगा तव शुभ नामे जागे तव शुभ आशीष मागे गाहे तव जय गाथा जन गण मंगलदायक जय हे भारत भाग्य विधाता जय हे जय हे जय हे जय 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 हे
Ladies and gentlemen, AEPC was incorporated in 1978, sponsored by the Ministry of Textiles, Government of India, as the official body of apparel exporters in India that provides invaluable assistance to Indian exporters, as well as importers and international buyers who choose India as their preferred sourcing destination for garments. As AEPC works on setting up processes and intense programs of mobilizing recommitment to meet stepped-up goal and national targets, it has also been focusing on growing India's strategic export partnerships by striking roots in new soils and making India stronger in the ones where we have been around for many years. AEPC has worked together with the government and the industry champions, fostering the sector's empowerment and calling on its members to take responsibility and be accountable for the change. A new era is being ushered in as we look ahead towards achieving new goals that are set by our Honorable Minister, led by our Chairman, Shri Naren Goenka. May I now call upon Shri Goenka to please welcome our distinguished guests. Mr. Goenka, please.
Trading, Honorable Minister of Textiles, Minister of Commerce and Trade, Minister of Consumer Affairs, Food and Public Distribution, Shri Piyush Goyal ji. Ms. Shubhra, Trade Advisor, Ministry of Textile. My dear friends and colleagues, Mr. Deepak Seth, Mr. Nitin Prasad, VP Global Supply Chain, Hub Leader Indian Subcontinent from PVH. All award winners and friends from the industry, my colleague from AEPC, press and media. Ladies and gentlemen, on behalf of Export Promotion Council, I cordially invite you to 23rd AEPC Excellence Award 2021-22 and 2022-23 ceremony on this date. The AEPC Export Award are Indian apparel industry's most prestigious award, paying tribute to the success and innovative approach of Indian apparel export companies, extending across the diverse product categories and including both experience and startup representation. The award are celebration of contribution by exporters have made to the industry and in turn the national economy. Sir, Indian apparel industry has been able to withstand the hard and testing times during the pandemic, wherein despite the global demand being stagnant, Indian apparel export grew at the rate of 30% in 2021-22 over 2020-21 and in 1% in 2023 over 22. Today we take this opportunity to honor and felicitate the front runners of the industry who by their hard work, vision and determination has made this possible. Toward this achievement of industry, AEPC has been playing an instrumental role by extending an exclusive support to the apparel industry of India for enhancing their global reach. While we commemorate this success today, we are also vigilant of the fact that India's apparel export has been constant to the tune of 3 to 4% global export share during past 3-4 years. And hence AEPC has been proactive to take the existing export of 16 to 17 billion to 40 billion by 2030. Today, AEPC has taken various steps. We realize the fact that share of India's top 20 product contribute to 63% of total apparel exports. Sir, AEPC has created an in-house market intelligence cell to keep the track of trends in import demands forecasted for 2030, and efforts have been taken at the various fronts to handhold the industry on two fronts. One, we are focusing on strengthening our core strength in our traditional export of cotton by way of promoting Kasturi cotton traceability systems with support from Texprocell. Secondly, we are hand-holding the industry for gradual shift to newer areas of technical textile, MMF and new product categories, including workwear, uniform, etc., which are high on demand in international market. Sir, we would like to place on record that this shift will not be possible without the support of government in form of many new trade and investment promotion schemes of PLI, PM Mitra Park. Industry is thankful to the government's initiative and it committed to work towards enhancing foreign direct investment to further strengthen its product capacity while maintaining international quality standards. The product diversification would also need shifting in newer export markets, appreciating the fact that our exports have been primarily concentrated to EU, USA. AEPC has been taking various steps to help industry to diversify its focus to new emerging markets of FTA countries, including Australia, UAE, and also to Latin America and Africa by shifting the focus of our trade events to emerging markets under MAI, conducting webinars and capacity building programs, etc. Sir, we are also vigilant to the new regulatory regime in our traditional export destination on their concern of sustainability and circularity. Sir, I am happy to share that Indian government industry is gearing up to the cause of sustainability across all fronts, including environment, social and governance. We are thankful to the Ministry of Textile to have taken the initiative of creating an ESG task force, and AEPC is committed to contribute effectively towards this cause. We had launched Apparel Industry Sustainability Action, ISA, witnessing the huge participation from the garment fraternity across all clusters. We are happy to announce AEPC soon launching its 12-week certificate program on sustainability in collaboration with Only Good European platform. The program will be instrumental in hand-holding the MSME units to appreciate and inculcate sustainability measures on growing concern of our buyer on zero liquid discharge, renewable energy, water management, wastewater management, etc. We have realized the fact that design thinking and innovation plays a very effective role in conceptualizing value addition as per the need of importing country. In the contest, AEPC has signed an understanding with Pearl Academy to conduct series of webinars on fashion trends and patterns in importing country as process of preparing our exporters toward their participation in trade event under MAI. Sir, we would like to thank Ministry of Textiles to have announced one of the historic trade event of Bharat Tex 2024 under your able leadership and guidance. We assure full commitment from AEPC to make this event a grand success with support from our award winners and friends from the industry present here today. Thank you all.
Thank you, Mr. Goenka. Now, there are many facets to the development of the apparel export industry and the culture in India, and at AEPC, we recognize and truly value each facet. The awards this evening have been instituted under 13 categories this year. A few new award categories have been introduced to encourage our exporters towards the sustainability and new products. A competent and distinguished jury was appointed to consider the nominations and recommend the winners on the basis of the received details. It has been our effort to award those who have demonstrated outstanding vision in making a significant and unique impact while achieving success for their organization and for India in the international marketplace. We would like to, in advance, congratulate all the winners this evening. And with that, I would request our honorable chief guest to please come up on the podium and give away the awards. May I request Mr. Piyush Goyal to please come up on the podium to give away the awards. The first category is the highest global exports 2021-22, 2022-23. This is for business above 500 crores in each year. The silver goes to Richa Global Exports Private Limited, Gurugram. Mr. Barinder Upal MD will receive. Felicitation. I also invite the Vice Chairman and the Chairman FNE to please come up on stage. And the gold is won by Shahi Exports Private Limited, Faridabad, Mr. Anbazagan T, the Chief Operating Officer. Mr. Harish Ahuja will receive the felicitation. gold is won by Royal Classic Mills Private Limited, Tirupur, Mr. R. Gopalakrishnan, Chairman. I beg your pardon, this is the highest global exports 2021-22, 22-23, above 100 crores and up to rupees 500 crores in each year. And the silver, the gold, gentleman is already here. The gold is won by Mr. R. Gopalakrishnan, Chairman of Royal Classic Mills Private Limited, Tirupur. And the silver, photo opportunity, ladies and gentlemen. The silver is won by Mr. R. Gopalakrishnan, Royal Classic Mills Private Limited, Tirupur. The silver, I beg your pardon, this is the gold because I announced the silver first. Okay, let me correct this. The silver was won by Mr. Gunganwel and Mr. S. Suganwel, Executive Directors of Sakti Infratechs Private Limited, Tirupur. And the gold goes to Mr. R. Gopalakrishnan, Chairman, Royal Classic Mills Private Limited, Tirupur. So, sir, I've invited both of them now. The next category, the highest global exports 2021-22, 22-23, less than 100 crores in each year. The gold goes to Mr. Rakesh Magu and Mr. Kamal Kishore Magu, partners of Jyoti Apparel, New Delhi. The next award is for the highest exports in knitted garments 2021-22, 22-23. And it goes to Best Corporation Private Limited, Tirupur, Mr. Rajkumar Ramswamy, Managing Director. The next category is the highest exports in woven garments 2021-22, 22-23. And it goes to Pearl Global Industries Limited, Gurugram, the award received by Mr. Pallab Banerjee, Managing Director. Dr. Said himself, yes. Next up, the highest exports in man-made fabric garments 2021-22, 22-23. And the award goes to Loyal Textile Mills Limited, Chennai. Mr. D. Manohar, General Manager, Textile, on behalf of Ms. Vali M. Ramaswamy, Chairperson and Whole-Time Director. Mr. D. Mansha, are you here? The next category is the highest exports to FTA countries 21-22, 22-23. And it goes to Somani Fabrics Private Limited, Jaipur, Mr. Vishal Maheshwari and Mr. Rohit Maheshwari, directors. Highest export by new entrepreneurs 21, 22, 22, 23. Sri Vari Knitwear Tirupur, Mr. S. Govindraj, founder and managing director. Next up is the award for Most Dynamic Woman Entrepreneur 21-22, 22-23. Goes to First Step Babywear Private Limited, Bangalore, Miss Anjana Pasi, whole-time director. The next award is for generating the highest employment 21-22, 22-23. And it goes to Gokuldas Exports, Bengaluru, Sri Sivaramakrishnan Ganapati, Vice Chairman and Managing Director. And the next award is for the highest workwear exports 21-22, 22-23. And it goes to Rama Overseas, Kolkata. Mr. Sharesh Soni, Director. The award for environmental compliance 21-22, 22-23 goes to Jai Vishnu Clothing Private Limited, Tirupur. Mr. K. M. Subramanian, founder and director, and Shri K. S. Vishnu Prabhu, MD. The award for excellence in social compliance 21-22, 22-23 goes to SCM Garments Private Limited, Tirupur. Mr. T.K. Chandiran, Chairman cum Director. As we come to the final two awards, the next award is for the mentor of the Indian apparel industry, Padma Shri, Dr. A. Saktivel. The young Dr. Saktivel, who the minister himself calls Bhisham Pitama. Ladies and gentlemen, Dr. Saktivel is a pioneering figure in the Indian apparel industry, and he started his career as an entrepreneur in 1973 from Tirupur, Tamil Nadu. Through his hard work, dedication, and innovative trade practices, he nurtured the Poppies group of companies. He was elected to the executive committee of AEPC in 1982 and served for 41 consecutive years. Sir, don't go away. Sir, I would like you to say a few words right after I say a few words about you. He was elected the chairman 4 times, a unique achievement in the history of the council. As president of the Tirupur Exporters Association for 27 years, he was instrumental in growing Tirupur's export from 15 crores in 1985 to 26,000 crores in 2016-17. In 2009, the Government of India honored him with the Padma Shri Award for his distinguished service in the field of exports. Mr. Saktivel, Dr. Saktivel, may I please ask you to say a few words?
Yeah, I made it. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. They said few words. I'll just say only few words. I'm really honored today by getting the award from the Honorable Minister. I got Padma Shri and other things, but I got already the biggest award in the history, I can say, that is have been given by Honorable Minister, that Pitama of Indian exports. That's the biggest award, sir. Bhisma Pitama of what? Everybody calls me love wherever I go, Bhisma Pitama. Thanks to you, sir. And I really thank the AEPC, and I submit this order to the whole AEPC and to AEPC members, because I've been in the AEPC for the last 41 years with the support of all of you. So I just submit the award to the AEPC. Thank you very much.
And for the final award this evening, ladies and gentlemen, the icon of the Indian apparel industry. One more to follow after this. The icon of the Indian apparel industry, Dr. Deepak Seth, the founder and group chairman, Pearl Global Industries Limited, PDS Limited, Leros GmbH. Dr. Deepak Kumar Seth, Group Chairman of 4 renowned apparel manufacturing, sourcing and training groups operating in over 20 countries. Pearl Global Industries Limited, PDS Limited, Leros Modern GmbH and Pearl Academy of Fashion. He's not a new name amongst us. He's an active member of the Apparel Export Promotion Council of India and held the post of Vice Chairman of the Eastern Region of AEPC for 2 years. His outstanding vision and selfless service has made a significant and unique impact on the apparel export business of the country. He has not only achieved success for his organizations, but taken the country along on this growth journey in the international apparel marketplace and contributed to India's image as a progressive member of a large international business community. May I request Dr. Seth to please come and say a few words. You may go on as long as you want.
Well, you know, I was told that I have 1 minute to express my sentiments. So I would first like to, of course, thank the Honorable Minister and the AEPC team, the Executive Apparel Council, and my peers. To get this award of Icon of the Industry is a huge thing for me, you know, because it's been selected by the peers of the industry, which is rare. So thank you very much to the entire fraternity of garment exporters, and I'm extremely grateful for that. Then I would like to thank my parents and grandparents, blessings from above, who gave me the right values and culture at a young age. And that has really helped me in my journey. Then, of course, the next are my brothers, Chand, Harish, Mahesh, and Krishan, who really helped me start the career in my garment industry. So without them, I think I would have been nowhere because I still may be working in ITC. So thank you very much to all my beautiful brothers. And they gave me the start that I needed. And then my wife, who has been a rock start back support for me, who kept me on the ground all the time. So every time I was flying in the air, she brought me down, stay grounded. And that helped. And of course, then she gave me two lovely sons, Palak and Pulkit, who've done a wonderful job of carrying the legacy. No, they're going to get the movie and the video and all that. One is in London, one is in New York, so they had commitment. So they've been great assets. And of course, my teams across the world, the professionals who are part of our entrepreneur journey, they've been rock start. You know, they're the ones who really helped us to get our 2 billion turnover. We're very proud of what we've achieved. And of course, this new government, the new India, and the next 10 years, I think are going to be fantastic. And I want to thank the Honorable Minister to be leading the apparel industry and the textile industry to this level. So thank you very much, and God bless you all.
Thank you, Dr. Seth. And just one last word for the evening. And under the category of highest global exports 21-22, 22-23. And the silver goes to Penguin Apparels Private Limited, Madurai, Chennai, Mr. Manovan Anbukani. And with that, we've come to the end of the awards for this evening. May I request our chief guest, the Honorable Minister, sir, to please address the audience.
Thank you very much, Shri Narendra Goenka, all the other captains of industry, managing committee members of AEPC, all the award winners, distinguished ladies and gentlemen. Truly honored to be amongst all of you, particularly on a day where two important events have happened. I would say the discussions, the power group discussions around US dollars 40 billion by 2030 will be a very fitting tribute to Prime Minister Shri Narendra Modi's vision to make India a developed nation by 2047, a very august beginning to our own collective decision, not by the government, but by the industry collectively, to expand our exports of the textile sector to $100 billion and the economic value of our industry's output to $250 billion by 2030. And if apparels can grow from 16 to 40 billion in this period, I think you can truly be a game changer in the future of textile industry, in our effort to provide jobs and work opportunities to a large section of the industry or of people in this industry, and also create a value-added proposition in the industry, which will transform the way the world looks at India. And of course, my congratulations to all the award winners who I'm sure will be in the forefront of fulfilling this vision, along with the rest of those who are active in the industry, who have played an important role in making this industry the powerhouse that it is, and to all of those youngsters who have today been part of the awards or are present in the room. I would say we owe it to this country. I know that I have the full support of the Bhishma Pitama and his colleagues in full measure. But it's young India which is going to power the future of India.
we are looking up to you to provide leadership to this country in the years ahead. It is all of you youngsters who are going to come up with innovative ideas, who are going to come up with the vision or the mission in the years to come, right across the Amrit Kal. I think many of us sitting on this front row are not going to be there at that time. You will be there to take this country forward. You will be leading this country to greater heights. And to the 1.4 billion people of this country, I think we owe a debt of gratitude. We owe it to them that we give them a better quality of life. We owe it to them that we provide them new opportunities. We owe it to all those who are left behind, who are not able to board a train and come to this room. And if we look back, I'm sure in our own families, maybe a generation or two back, somebody got an opportunity, big or small, which has brought us to the Taj Mansingh today. There are millions out there who didn't get that opportunity so far. We owe it to each one of those less privileged sections of society, to the marginalized sections of society. And that is the message that each award winner today will take back to his colleagues, to his friends, to his employees and stakeholders, that the opportunities are huge. The opportunities ahead of us will only get bigger. The world sees those opportunities in India. The world wants to engage deeper and bigger with India. The world recognizes that there is no option but to come to India for the large demand, the large marketplace that India offers. Believe me, there is no other opportunity ever in the history of mankind comparable to the India story of today. There's never been an opportunity as big, as grand, and as attractive as 1.4 billion people desirous, aspiring for a better future for themselves, for the next generation, for their children. And we are all privileged to be a part of the nation's history today. We are all privileged that we will get an opportunity to work in this Amrit Kal and take India to greater heights and ensure that every child born in this country gets a good opportunity, an adequate quality of opportunity to make a life that we could make thanks to the opportunities our parents or grandparents gave us. I know there are many self-made entrepreneurs in the room. Saktivel himself started off with very humble beginnings. He's been an icon for many of us, as almost half the award winners mentioned as they received the award. It's not only about Tamil Nadu, it's not only about Tirupur or Madurai or Coimbatore or Chennai. He has clearly been somebody who comes with a lot of positivity. And that is the positivity that I would love to see in the industry as a whole. And I must say, every time I come to the apparel industry's programs, I feel more encouraged about the future. Difficulties will come and go. We'll all have challenges in our life. Whether it is COVID, whether it is one or the other challenge, the Ukraine conflict causing depression or recession in international developed markets, we'll all have challenges. I mean, I can't imagine a life where there's no challenge. My late father used to say that if everything is going to be hunky-dory and everything is going to be smooth and everything is going to run by the rule book, then there won't be need for ministers and CEOs and managing directors of companies also. Our workmen and peons could possibly run the factory and businesses. We are here to address challenges. We are here to take up big, as they call them, what? Big, hairy, audacious goals. That should be our mission. We should aspire to go beyond the ordinary. Each one of us will have to set targets for ourselves with totally go against the law of nature. We need not work on percentage incremental growth. We need to consider dramatic improvements and dramatic growth as our targets. And I'm glad that the industry has accepted this request, the need of the hour, to be more ambitious in your targets, to look at an exponential growth from 16 to 40 billion in the next 7 years. To me, it is clearly achievable. On our part, we are trying to make the conditions conducive for that, whether it is our engagement with free trade agreements with the developed countries, whether it is our effort to promote Brand India. And I think Narenji mentioned about Bharat Tex 2024. I hope each one of you is present there in a big way. Is there anybody here who's not signed up as yet for Bharat Tex 2024? No hands are raised. Narenji, are you confirming this? And everybody should be on twice the size that they've booked so far. Honestly, it's an opportunity to showcase India's strengths. It's an opportunity to show the world that we are second to none, whether it's quality, whether it's cost competitiveness, whether it's our ability to face international competition, and our ability to provide consistent, high quality, at scale production to meet the needs of the world. And to my mind, from every time I come to any of your programs, I find a lot of hidden jewels. A lot of people I've never heard or seen before. In fact, I often have been also complaining that why is this industry not coming out of the shadows? Why don't I see more of Pali? Why don't I see more of Bhilwara? Why don't I see more of Chittorgarh? I'm sorry, I'm taking 3 Rajasthan examples, पर अभी नया fresh है, हम campaign करके आए हैं सब जगह. और 3 राज्यों में विजय के बाद स्वाद ही कुछ और होता है. But it's thanks to your good wishes, your support, the encouragement we receive from all of you, the confidence that you repose in Prime Minister Narendra Modi's leadership, the fact that you endorse his vision for India, you admire his decisive leadership, you are willing to be a part of this arduous journey to change the narrative about India, the fact that each one of you has contributed to our efforts in the last 9-10 years to move the needle from a fragile 5 economy to the world's 5th largest economy with strong fundamentals. The fact that you have all played a role in expanding our exports by 55% in barely 2 years in adverse circumstances. And our exports are hovering around $500 billion for so long. Goods and services. It's thanks to you that and your relentless efforts that the country saw this exponential growth from 500 to 776 billion. And mind you, it's not as if services has grown and you have not. Both have grown around the same percentage. Merchandise and services both grew around the same levels in this 2-year period from 21 to 23. We are facing some challenges this year, but I have full faith in Shaktivel. इसकी भविष्यवाणी कभी गलत होती ही नहीं. I remember it was probably 3 months before the end of last year, maybe around December or January, when nobody in the country, including yours truly, was confident we'll be able to surpass the achievement of 21-22. I promise you, even I was kind of shaken up. I said, mushkil lagta hai. The damn growth of 21-22 was so sharp and so big. To maintain that another year is going to be very tough. And the figures were not giving us that encouragement that we can show some significant growth, particularly in merchandise. But this man, relentlessly, in every meeting, and you know that I have a meeting almost every month. During COVID, it was probably twice a month. और एक टाइम पे तो मुझे डर लग गया. One of the gentlemen from Kolkata said in the meeting, "This is my 22nd meeting on video with you." He said, 8-10 महीने हो चुके थे कोविड को. मुझे लगा यार ये तो गलत हो रहा है. लोग दुखी हो गए होंगे मेरी मीटिंग्स कर करके. But I think they all helped. They helped build confidence in industry. They all helped show the industry that we are there for you in good times and in difficult times. And we continue to engage every month, and Saktivel stood up, lone man in the room or on TV. We had a hybrid meeting where all the EPCs were there, all the industry associations were there. As FIO chairman, he said, "I promise you, exports will grow by $100 billion. We were 676 last year, the year before. Not a single person in the room either clapped or endorsed what he said. और मुझे भी लगा चलो शक्तिवेल है, चेयरमैन FIO को तो कॉन्फिडेंस दिखाना ही चाहिए, और मंत्री बैठा है तो थोड़ा बहुत बोलने में कोई टैक्स भी नहीं लगता है, पॉजिटिविटी दिखाने में. But he didn't say it out of the blue. He said it with the courage of conviction. And you and behold, we got 776, exactly $100 billion growth last year. So थोड़ी अच्छी भविष्यवाणी, do some good prediction for this year also, think through, and in my next EPC interaction, come up with some number from your hat, which I hope we can achieve this year also. We still have 3.5 months, 4 months to go before the end of the year. It was around the same time. Maybe my office should take out which month it was, the meeting of which month, where he had predicted that. But what I'm only trying to say, it's in our mind. We need to decide. We need to come up with our confidence. We need to demonstrate to the world that we mean business, we have the capabilities, the abilities, and we shall do it. हो सकता है कभी थोड़ा बहुत कम ज़्यादा हो. It's possible that every time you don't meet dramatic targets like that. But our confidence should never get diluted, because extraordinary results are only given by ordinary people. I don't expect us to be extraordinary in our abilities. What is only expected is our self-confidence. What is only required is our conviction. And I don't think the apparel industry has any lack of conviction. We have tried on our part to bring the whole industry on one page. I remember the old days when I was always confused. एक मीटिंग apparel के साथ करो तो लगता था इनकी बात ठीक है. Next meeting with fiber तो लगता था हाँ fiber की बात ठीक है. Apparel वाले थोड़ा एक्चुअली जो मीडिया है, नहीं तो मेरा तो मुंबई की भाषा में एक शब्द ध्यान में आ रहा था, वो प्राइवेटली बोल दूंगा आपको. कॉटन ग्रोअर्स को मिलता था तो लगता था उनकी बात ज़्यादा सही है, तो सब लोग ही मुझे कुछ गलत फहमी में डाल गए, भ्रमित कर गए. बट टुडे, राइट फ्रॉम फार्म टू फाइबर, फाइबर टू फैक्ट्री, फैक्ट्री टू फैशन, and fashion to foreign, all talk in one voice. And that is Prime Minister Modi's vision to this country. The PM Mitra Parks are also emerging out of this vision. The industry is so fragmented, so divided, is spread across so many different areas. I think we spend more money on logistics than anything else. But through the PM Mitra Parks, 7 of them across the country, different parts, right from Tamil Nadu, Telangana, Gujarat, Karnataka, Uttar Pradesh, I think, and Maharashtra, and Madhya Pradesh. So it's right across the country, but our effort is that each one of them should be very, very comprehensive, holistic, and should provide end-to-end solutions. I'm engaged with the fashion designers also. to see how they can be an integral part of your industry interactions and engagements. Exporters are already on, and our two textile advisory groups, cotton and man-made fabrics, both are doing human service. They're doing fantastic work. Now we talk in one voice, we engage with each other, we protect each other's interests, and that's the way forward. If we have to develop India, if we have to make India a developed nation, we'll have to support each other. It cannot be each one to themselves. We cannot be selfish in our outlook. We cannot say that, look, I'm going to import fiber so that my apparel is okay, and I don't care what happens to the fiber industry in India. Fiber people can't say that I'm happy to import what, the yarn? What does fiber require? I mean, each one will have to work as a team, right from the raw material stage, whether it's cotton or whatever, VSF or whatever is your input materials, right up to the apparel. And frankly, apparel guys should also start insisting to make sure that the downstream industry uses Indian products. And Korea and Japan are live examples of what Atmanirbhar Bharat should look like. Despite getting cheaper raw materials from other parts of the world, first they use up the entire domestic availability of materials. They support each other. They ensure that their industry doesn't die. And bear in mind what happened with the pharma industry. Chote-mote lalach ke liye, they started importing, and the entire API industry in India was killed. And finally, when they needed APIs, they were let down by their foreign suppliers, and the entire pharma industry was put to risk. Don't fall for predatory practices, for practices where low-cost, substandard goods start substituting domestic availability of material, kill our downstream or our upstream. Every element of the industry is important. Atmanirbhar Bharat is not about closing India's doors to the world. We want to open them wider, but not to non-transparent, opaque supplies, not to low-quality, substandard goods. Our effort should be, we create the entire ecosystem in India, we help them achieve scale so that they become themselves profitable, and support us in the long run to also remain competitive. And I think so far we've been quite successful in ensuring that the entire value chain works as a team, supports each other as a team. I'm sure our export market also, our buyers like from overseas will also recognize our effort to control the whole value chain. Kasturi brand cotton, for which my good friend Kulin Lalbhai has done remarkable work along with the whole team. Some of you are here, some of you are not here. The entire team has put in a lot of effort and has actually brought Kasturi brand to the fore. We are looking at engaging with technology, blockchain technologies, and ensuring that we can start having our own brand as a respectable brand. And I do hope all of you will help us popularize it and make this industry truly achieve the glory that the textile sector once upon a time had. My best wishes to all of you in your endeavors. 40 by 30 is non-negotiable. We all have to achieve it. I'm equally going to be responsible with you, and I assure you full support from the government, both of India and the states. Let's go for it with the confidence that a true-blooded Indian has. Let's go for it with the confidence that young India will not let us down. Let's leave the responsibilities more and more to our children. And I'm glad that most of the award winners came with their next generation. And possibly next time we should make it a rule, as we did today, that unless the principal owner or manager, person in control of the company doesn't come, we will not give the award. And it's very fair. This gentleman flies all the way from London to receive the award. The award has to have a certain respect. And I'm very delighted at your council having a limited number of awards. Some of the councils have 500 and 200 awards. It kills the value of the award. We should review the awards of all the councils and bring them to a respectable number, then there'll be a value to receiving an award. Can't have 500, 200 awards being given. Oh, mela hota hai, less a program, more a mela. That is not my comment, that came from the floor. They are equally my stakeholders. मेरे को export बढ़ाना है, सिर्फ textile minister नहीं हो. But I respect your work. I respect the good work that you have done. And I do believe the next generation will take us to even greater heights. Compliments to all the young people in the room. Compliments to the leadership sitting in front of me. And I pray and wish for your continued success. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Your words will surely be encouragement for the industry. May I request Shri Sudhir Sekri, the Vice Chairman AEPC, to deliver the vote of thanks. Oh yeah, okay, okay. Oh, we thank our chief guest, Shri Piyush Goyal, the Honorable Union Minister of Textiles, Commerce and Industry, and all dignitaries and awardees. And this brings us to the end of our award ceremony. We also thank our sponsors, gold sponsors, ECGC Limited. You focus on exports, we cover the risks. Silver sponsors, Apparel, Made-ups and Home Furnishing Sector Skills Council, empowering careers, enriching industry. Silver sponsors, Modify, Modern Digital Trade Finance, the Chennai Silks. Let the celebrations begin. Ladies and gentlemen, this event was managed by NCOM. Please join us for high tea.